Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point, AFR Talk. Brian Fisher, my name. The program is Focal Point. Getting ready to talk about what's going to happen at the debate tonight. Let's take one more call before we focus on that topic. Let's go to Shelley in McGregor, Texas. Shelley has been waiting patiently. Shelley, thanks for calling. What's on your mind? Shelley, are you with us?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Go right ahead.
I have a question about, all the great information that we find out from y'all, like before Buster was talking about the number of radicals that have visited the White House in the last 3 years. And,
yes.
Great information like that. And then I heard on a talk show the other morning, on a Sunday morning, I think it was, and it was talking about the executive order and how many times Obama has used that. It was like over 900 times that he's used the executive order, and y'all talked about that so much. So my question is why does Romney bring those kinds of things up in the debate? Because, most people just don't know about all those things. And if he would, to me it just seems like it would be, questions that would stump Obama. He wouldn't have any answer for that if someone confronted him with all that stuff.
Well,
so I'll hang up and let you talk.
All right, Shelley, I appreciate that. And it's a very good question. Why isn't Romney more aggressive about some of these things? A lot of people talked about missed opportunities in the last debate in terms of his response on the Libya question. And I've read some columns over the weekend sort of going back and forth about how aggressive they think Governor Romney ought to be in the debate tonight. You've got some people arguing, look, he's got the momentum now. By the way, I went and checked, and according to Gallup, it's 51-45, not 52-45. So the source that I was using apparently for some reason got that number mixed up, but it is, according to Likely Voters, Gallup has it 51-45. And so clearly the momentum right now is with Mitt Romney, and so some are writing that what they think Governor Romney ought to do is, rather than go on the attack against Barack Obama, he should spend most of his time kind of laying out his vision and his view of foreign policy for the future. So that is obviously a question that only Governor Romney is going to be able to answer. But for myself, I just do not think that you can stay away from making a concerted effort to expose the weakness of the Romney record on foreign policy. In the last caller, Shelley, so I think you got to do that. I think you need to do both. I mean, I'm sympathetic to the idea. You got to tell people not just what the other guy did wrong, but what you're going to do differently. I think that's fine, and I think that's good. And I think anybody that wants elected office needs, he owes it to the voters to tell him what he's going to do if he's entrusted with that power. So I agree with all of that. And Shelley was talking about the number of Islamic radicals that have visited the White House. Here's a piece by Neil Monroe on the Daily Caller. White House visitor records show that administration officials have hosted numerous White House meetings with a series of U.S.-based Muslim political groups that have close ties to jihadi groups and push to reduce anti-terrorism investigations. The visits were discovered by the Investigative Project on Terrorism, which compared the Obama White House's visitor records with its database of Islamist advocacy groups. Now, the records, for instance, show that the Council on American Islamic Relations, that's CAIR, CAIR for short, which is an offshoot of the Muslim Brotherhood. CAIR is just the Muslim Brotherhood. Same with the Islamic Society of North America, the Muslim Student Association. These are just arms of the Muslim Brotherhood in the United States. And officials from CAIR, and now the problem with CAIR is that they are an unindicted co-conspirator in the largest fundraising scandal to send money to Hamas. So they're Hamas sympathizers. They've raised money for Hamas. They were actually co-conspirators in funneling money to this terrorist group. They just weren't indicted because the Department of Justice didn't have time to get around to them. They had to go for the more active members of that conspiracy. But they listed CAIR as a group that raises money for Hamas, which is a terrorist organization, wants to destroy Israel. And officials from CAIR went to the White House no less than 20 times, even despite the fact that they had this obvious connection. Our intelligence officials knew it. FBI knew it. The connections with these Islamic groups. FBI, in fact, said in 2009 that, quote, it does not view CARE as an appropriate liaison partner, end quote, because of its ties to Hamas. This is 2009, April 2009. President Obama has been in office, about 3 months when this statement's released. But after that, he's got people from CARE in the White House, even though the FBI says, look, this is not an appropriate liaison partner. These people are tied into Islamic terrorism. We're not going to partner with them anymore. Wouldn't be appropriate, wouldn't be right. After that, after his own FBI says they're connected to terrorism, President Obama has officials from CARE in there no less than 20 times. And there are other examples of this also that's in Neil Monroe's piece. It's like it's a 4-page piece. He does refer on page 3 to the Islamic Society of North America. And you got Islamic Society of North America officials, ISNA, ISNA for short, in the White House all the time. They're another unindicted co-conspirator in the 2008 trial of a Texas-based Muslim group that was sending money to Hamas. So President Obama is inviting these people into the White House. CARE officials have been there 20 times. So Council on American Islamic Relations, they're a front to fund Hamas. They got in trouble with the law. They were an unindicted co-conspirator. If the Department of Justice had time, they would have gone after them. But then the Obama administration came into place. They're not interested in doing anything to prosecute Muslims, so they just dropped it. And so they remain an unindicted co-conspirator. But 20 times they have been to the White House. Now, President Bush did some of the same things. I mean, I fault President Bush here. He bought that swill that Islam is a religion of peace. He met with jihad-linked immigrants, including CARE, co-founder Nihad Awad and Abdurrahman Alamoudi. Alamoudi now is in prison for 23 years for plotting to kill a top Saudi government leader. But President Bush, after 9/11's meeting with these guys, actually invited Alamoudi to speak at the National Prayer Service for the 9/11 victims. This is a guy that's in prison now for trying to kill a Saudi government leader. And the Bush administration, to their credit, at least they learned their lesson and they stopped inviting these people with terrorist connections to come to the White House. You were linked with jihad. You didn't get in the front door in the Bush administration. Not true under President Obama. Now, when we come back, we'll play some sound bites that have to do with the situation over in Libya. We'll talk a little bit about the debate. And I'd be interested in getting your take about how aggressive you think President Obama ought to be in the debate tonight. There's some speculation that the intelligence community is trying to give Obama some cover by trying to reinsert this anti-Islam video into the mix. And that Obama may try to go back and blame this video for what happened in Libya. So again, the Intelligence Department, that's part of the executive branch. They serve under President Obama. If he sends them directions, hey, you give me some cover here, you change your story so I've got some protection or you're out of a job, those folks are probably going to give the president what he's insisting on getting. So we'll see how all that plays out in the debate tonight. Focal Point, AFR Talk. Be right back. Stay with us.